We're people who got into this line of work because we wanted people to like us, because we were intrinsically insecure.
The music industry is a very dark place, and you can let yourself get sucked in there quite easily.
How did Taylor pull Ed out of the darkness?
All the pitfalls that people read about, this happened to this person, I just found myself slipping into all of them.
When you're living for the approval of strangers, and that is where you derive all of your joy and fulfillment, one bad thing can cause everything to crumble.
And what shocking event led Ed to rush to Taylor's defense?
He is suing her, and she is countersuing him to fight back. He allegedly lifted her skirt and grabbed her butt while they were taking a photo.
Taylor can never win with what she says.
I'm tired of it. I'm just tired of it. Most days I'm like, okay. But then sometimes I'm just like, it just gets loud sometimes.
He's going through guys like a train.
Jake Gyllenhaal, Joe Jonas, of course, John Mayer.
Hashtag Taylor Swift is over party was the #1 trend on Twitter worldwide. Do you know how many people have to be tweeting that they hate you for that to happen? I just wanted to disappear. Nobody physically saw me for a year, and that was what I thought they wanted.
At 11 years old, the only thing Ed liked about school was a girl named Cherry.
I never worked hard when I was younger. I never did homework. Didn't really apply myself at all until I found music and then flew with it.
While Cherry went off to university, Ed pursued his passion.
For the first 3 years, I just networked and played any night that I could.
The journey was much tougher than Ed ever imagined.
Lost my place to live. I'd stand on stage and be like, hey, if anyone's got a couch tonight. But there were just moments where I would just wanted to give up.
Little did he know, a fellow musician would give him the chance of a lifetime.
It was his friendship with Taylor Swift that allowed him to completely break America.
First thing that struck me was his voice. I've never been more jealous of anything in my life.
Touring with Taylor not only jump-started Ed's career, it started a beautiful friendship.
And the first time that we wrote, we sat in a hotel room in, I think, Arizona, and we just kind of wrote and wrote and wrote and wrote, and just laughed and had the best time and became really close friends.
But Ed got so lost in the fame, he based his happiness on his success.
The music industry is a very dark place. I mean, there was a couple of occasions where I was in the darker side of things.
You need to, when you get into the industry, adjust to it, and I didn't adjust because I was just constantly working on tour. And all the pitfalls that people read about, this happened to this person, I just found myself slipping into all of them.
Seeing Ed's pain, Taylor worked on finding the missing piece in his life. And when she reunited Ed with his high school crush, everything changed.
That was a wake-up call. I've rekindled with a girl I went to high school with.
Deeply in love, Ed took a year off to focus on what really mattered, the love of his life.
We live together now, and I think that was a real help, kind of grounding me.
The meaning of life isn't to release albums anyway, it is to have a family and be happy, so.
Although Taylor rescued Ed, she continued to suffer under constant scrutiny.
People were just kind of making slideshows of my dating life and putting people in there that I'd sat next to at a party once.
And the more the world hated Taylor, the more she began to hate herself.
I've been trained to be happy when you get a lot of praise.
For someone who's built their whole belief system on getting people to clap for you, the whole crowd booing is a pretty formative experience.
Taylor can never win with what she says. It'll always be twisted by someone. So I thought I'd come out and say what I thought, which is the truth. She has only dated 2 people in 2 years. And I have friends that have been with 10 people in 1 year, and people wouldn't say that they're...
And it only got worse from there.
When Swift posed for a pre-concert photo with radio DJ David Mueller. Swift says Mueller put his hand under her dress and grabbed her bare behind. Mueller filed a civil lawsuit against Swift, calling the groping allegation nonsense. Swift countersued, claiming assault and battery, saying she has never been so sure of anything in her life.
It just feels like it's more than music now at this point. And just most days I'm like, okay. But then sometimes I'm just like, it just gets loud sometimes.
Shocked by the news, Ed dropped everything to support Taylor.
But we don't really go a day without speaking. I'm not ever going to hurt Taylor.
Not only did Taylor win the case, she found a man who saw her true self, Joe Elwin.
I also was falling in love with someone who had a really wonderfully normal, balanced, grounded life. And we decided together that we wanted our relationship to be private.
After seeing how Ed's time off saved him, Taylor took her own year off. Little did she know, it would teach her the most important lesson.
We're people who got into this line of work because we wanted people to like us, because we were intrinsically insecure.
I became the person who everyone wanted me to be.
But her time away from the spotlight gave Taylor something she never had before.
I was happy, but I wasn't happy in the way that I'd been trained to be happy. It was happiness without anyone else's input.
And when she returned to the stage, she was better than ever. just in time to see Ed marry his childhood sweetheart. Ed and Taylor teach us never to let others dictate our happiness, because real happiness comes from within.
There's no key to success, but the key to failure is pleasing everyone.
And with a true friend by your side, anything is possible.
Honestly, I know I wouldn't be up here if it wasn't for one of my best friends. I just want to say I love you, Ed Sheeran.
Taylor made this for me for Christmas. She sewed it herself. This is me and her. Started from the bottom, now we're here.